These are 7 warning signs that your spark plugs are failing. Ignoring even one of them can turn a $20 fix into a $2,000 disaster. Picture this. You are at a stoplight, foot on the brake, and suddenly the car jerks or shudders. Maybe it happens as you press the gas to merge onto a busy road, just a split-second stumble, a hiccup that makes your heart skip. That is an engine misfire. Underneath the hood, one or more cylinders fail to ignite their fuel-air mix on time. Instead of a smooth, even push, the engine stutters. Sometimes you will hear a popping sound or feel the whole car lurch, especially when accelerating or climbing a hill. These are not just quirks, they are the earliest, loudest warnings that a spark plug is failing to do its job. Every misfire means unburned fuel is slipping past the cylinders and into your exhaust. That fuel does not just vanish, it heads straight for the catalytic converter, the emissions filter that keeps your car legal and the air breathable. When unburned fuel hits the converter, it burns at dangerously high temperatures, heating the ceramic core far beyond what it was built to handle. Industry repair data shows that the average bill for a new catalytic converter is $1,338, by far the most expensive common check engine light repair in the country. A single neglected misfire can set off a chain reaction, melting the converter and turning a $20 spark plug fix into a 4-figure shop visit. But misfires are not always violent. Sometimes the first sign is subtler, a rough idle. You are waiting in a drive-thru or at a red light, and the steering wheel trembles. The attach needle wobbles up and down by about 200 RPM, even though your foot has not moved. That uneven rhythm comes from spark plugs that cannot deliver a consistent spark at low engine speeds. The result is a shaky, uneven idle that feels like the engine is breathing out of sync. It might seem harmless, but rough idle is a close cousin to misfire. Both are rooted in the same failing spark, and both can quietly overheat your catalytic converter if ignored. Whether it is a sudden jolt under load or a steady shake at idle, these are not problems that fix themselves. They are the engine's way of telling you it needs help, before small cheap parts turn into big, expensive failures. Cold mornings have a way of exposing hidden problems under the hood. You turn the key, but instead of a quick fire-up, the engine cranks and cranks, sometimes sputtering to life only after a few long, anxious seconds. That is a classic hard start, and it is often the next stage when spark plugs are on their way out. Drivers might blame the battery or the starter, but the real culprit is often buried in the spark plug wells, carbon or oil deposits coating the tips, or a hairline crack in the ceramic insulator. These issues force the ignition system to work overtime, demanding higher voltage to jump the gap. On a cold engine, that extra resistance can mean the spark just is not strong enough to ignite the fuel-air mix right away. Repeated hard starts are not just a morning nuisance. Every time the engine struggles to fire, the starter motor grinds for longer than it should, drawing heavy current from the battery. Over weeks and months, this extra strain shortens battery life and wears out the starter's internal gears. Replacing a starter can run $300 or more, and a drained battery leaves you stranded in a parking lot or driveway. Costly headaches for something that started with a $20 plug. But the problems do not stop at startup. As plugs foul further, the symptoms follow you onto the road. One moment the car seems fine, the next it surges forward or hesitates for no clear reason. That unpredictable throttle response comes from intermittent firing inside the cylinders. Oil or carbon deposits act as insulation, blocking the spark in some cycles and letting it through in others. A cracked insulator can leak voltage to the metal shell, causing the spark to wander, sometimes firing on time, sometimes missing entirely. The result is a car that feels jumpy, especially when pulling away from a stop or trying to keep a steady speed in traffic. Surging and hesitation are not just annoying, they can be dangerous. An unexpected burst of power or a momentary lag at an intersection can catch drivers off guard, increasing the risk of fender benders or worse. Meanwhile, the ignition coil is forced to compensate for the weak spark, drawing more current and heating up with every misfire. Over time, this stress can burn out the coil, adding another $100 to $200 to the repair bill. All of these failures trace back to plugs that are overdue for replacement. A simple low-cost fix that keeps the entire ignition system running smoothly and safely. Filling up more often than usual? That creeping pain at the gas pump is one of the most overlooked signs of worn spark plugs. When plugs can't ignite the fuel-air mixture cleanly, the engine's computer tries to compensate by dumping in extra gasoline. The result is a slow but steady drop in miles per gallon, a hit that's easy to miss until your wallet starts to feel it. According to industry-wide studies, a basic tune-up that includes new spark plugs delivers an average 4% improvement in fuel economy. That might sound small, but over a year of typical driving, it adds up to about a tank of gas every month. On the low end, most drivers see a 2 to 8% drop as plugs wear, but in severe cases, especially when multiple plugs are fouled or misfiring, mileage can plunge by as much as 30%. That's like paying for every third gallon to go straight out the tailpipe. But the cost isn't just at the pump. Power loss is another hidden consequence. Every time a plug fails to fire, the engine loses a chunk of torque, the force that gets you moving from a stop or lets you surge past a slow truck on the highway. Bench tests and manufacturer data show that even moderate plug wear can cut engine torque by 5 to 10%. In practical terms, that means slower acceleration and longer merge times. Imagine trying to join fast-moving traffic with a car that feels like it is dragging an anchor. That hesitation or sluggishness isn't just frustrating, it can be dangerous, especially when there is only a brief opening between cars. The combination of wasted fuel and lost power turns a simple maintenance item into a real safety and financial risk. When fill-ups come more often and the car struggles during highway merges or uphill climbs, it's time to look beyond the gas gauge. These are classic clues that the spark plugs are overdue for attention. The next step is figuring out exactly what's wrong and how to fix it before the costs spiral out of control. Dashboard warning lights can feel cryptic, but modern cars have a built-in translator, the OBD2 system. When spark plugs start to fail, the computer often sets a specific code, usually in the P0300 to P0312 range. P0300 means the engine is detecting random or multiple misfires across different cylinders. P0301 through P0312 pinpoint the trouble to a specific cylinder. For example, P0302 for cylinder 2. If the check engine light starts flashing, that is a sign the misfire is severe enough to risk immediate damage to the catalytic converter. Ignoring it for even a few days can turn a simple spark plug swap into a $1,000 repair. Affordable OBD2 scanners, some under $30, plug into a port under the dash and display the code in seconds. Once you have the code, a quick swap test can confirm the culprit. Move the suspected plug to a different cylinder, clear the code, and see if the misfire follows. If the P0302 code becomes P0304 after moving the plug, you have found your problem. Replacement is straightforward for most cars. Spark plugs themselves run just $8 to $12 each for standard copper types. The basic toolkit is a ratchet, a spark plug socket, a short extension, and a torque wrench. Always work on a cold engine to avoid burns and stripped threads. Start the new plug by hand to prevent cross-threading, then use the torque wrench to tighten it to the factory spec, typically between 13 to 18 pound-feet. Too loose, and the plug can back out under pressure. Too tight, and the ceramic insulator or the threads can crack, causing even more trouble down the line. The whole job, start to finish, usually takes 30 to 60 minutes for a 4-cylinder engine. That is less time than a trip to the shop, and a fraction of the cost. Swapping in fresh plugs not only erases the warning light and restores smooth running, but also protects the catalytic converter, the ignition coil, and your wallet from the kind of damage that snowballs when a simple fix is ignored. For drivers willing to pick up a socket wrench, this is a repair that pays for itself the moment you turn the key. Every year, neglected spark plugs cost drivers in the United States over $2 billion in avoidable repairs. A 10-minute check and a $20 part can mean the difference between smooth acceleration and dangerous hesitation in real traffic. In the end, the smartest fix is often the simplest. Drive informed, your wallet and your safety depend on it.